I want to start by asking you about this particular phrase that Nick Timothy used. He called this mass ritual prayer that took place in Trafalgar Square as an act of domination. What is your reaction to this as a British Muslim politician?
I think it's at the moment it's really dangerous in the political sphere to be from an ethnic minority from black and brown backgrounds to be Muslim. I've faced a lot of direct attacks personally based on my faith, based on my religion, based on my ethnicity, rather than based on political ideas. I'm happy to defend ideas, but I shouldn't be having to defend my religion or having to defend my skin color. And what Nick Timothy's done is he just puts a target on people like Sadiq Khan's back, especially with the video clip that features Sadiq Khan. There's been so much right wing narratives around using this phrase Londonistan. I'm just surprised Nick Timothy didn't even use that, um, didn't throw that in for good measure. But there's no outrage when there's Passover or Hanukkah celebrations there, or there's Easter celebrations there, or there's Sikh celebrations there. There's no outrage there, but for some reason, um, Nick Timothy seems to be really outraged at the fact that there's some Muslims celebrating what is probably about a 10-minute prayer maximum, followed by iftar. Um, I don't see how I don't see how that's an act of domination or anything to be to take objection at.
Timothy followed up on X, posting, I'm not suggesting everybody at Trafalgar Square last night is an Islamist, but the domination of public places is straight from the Islamist playbook. What does that word Islamist mean to you? Because it seems to get thrown around a lot by people on the right. This was ritual prayer by people practicing their faith. Why is he using this word Islamist, and how do you think it's become weaponized by the right?
I mean, firstly, we've got to clarify, ritual prayer, 5 times a day, Muslims are required to pray. And praying in congregation is part of that obligation. So these Muslims are just fulfilling their obligation as who they are. Um, the word Islamist is it's never really had a real meaning. It's been always been something that's been trying to it's been used to describe people from Islamic backgrounds as being some kind of threat, some bogeyman, someone to be scared of, and that's all that I understand from it. I don't know what an Islamist is. Um, people throw it about against pretty much anyone they disagree with. If there's a Muslim and they want to score points, they're an Islamist. I'm sure Sadiq Khan's even been described as an Islamist. Um, I don't know any Muslim in the public eye who hasn't been described as an Islamist.
Mm.
It has no meaning. I think it's personally, I think it's a word that carries a lot of racist undertones to it. People use it thinking they can get away with it in a way that they want to be racist, but they want to be on the safe side and use a word that's acceptable. And the thing we need to get to a point where using words like this are not acceptable at all.
Mm.
It should be in the same category as the P word or the N word.
So when Timothy talks about the Islamist playbook, that there is no Islamist playbook, this is just a dog whistle phrase that is being thrown around and that we should reject because, as you say, it carries a lot of negative Islamophobic connotations.
I mean, if Nick Timothy's got a copy of it, I'd be more than happy to have a read. But I've never seen this playbook before.
Mm. Um, Nigel Farage said in response to this that what we witnessed at the historic Trafalgar Square, and I have to make it clear, I'm quoting here, in a country built on Judeo-Christian values, was a group of people attempting dominance over our capital city and culture. We also keep hearing this term, Judeo-Christian values. What, like, again, what does this mean? Because they're Abrahamic religions, just as is, like Islam is. Is this just a dog whistle?
I mean, again, I think that phrase is used to deny the Islamic importance into Western civilization. Um, if we just look at the works of Aristotle, for example, they were preserved by the Muslims and the Muslim historians and the Muslim scholars. And without the Muslim contribution, there would be no Renaissance and there would be no transformation from the Dark Ages. So, if anyone wants to talk about Judeo-Christian values or this Judeo-Christian heritage and leave out the Islamic influence, I think they're very, very um, uninformed. But again, it is to try and isolate one of the Abrahamic faiths rather from the other two and make and separate them. And that's something that we shouldn't accept. And we should be saying, look, we need to create a future where there's unity, regardless of what our heritage was. We need to build a future together and make a future that we can all live compatibly together.
Mm. And Kemi Badenoch has backed Nick Timothy, stating he was defending British values. What do you think Badenoch means here by British values in this instance? Do you think she means Islamophobia?
I think with the Conservatives now, or this iteration of the Conservatives, is someone like Enoch Powell would have been accepted in this party right now. Um, I'm not a fan of the Conservative Party. I've never have been, but I think Conservative Party of old would have not fallen
Mm.
into these dog whistles. But I think Kemi Badenoch would be quite happy with Enoch Powell. That said, I mean, British values, racism, is not a British value. You know, tolerance is, acceptance is, plurality of ideas is, plurality of religions, plurality of cultures. This is all part of our British culture and something that makes it such a fantastic country. And to try and otherize law-abiding citizens, people who have had permission to be there, have had the authorities give them the access to that space, and now there's such an outrage. I think this is just really, really hypocritical.
Mm. Keir Starmer he used some of his time at PMQs on Wednesday to attack Kemi Badenoch and the Conservative Party for these comments. He claimed the Conservative Party has a problem with Muslims. What do you think Labour's track record is on defending Muslims, and what do you make of Keir Starmer's response in this instance?
So, Keir Starmer's done the right thing by defending these actions. Would he have defended this if it wasn't Sadiq Khan? That's something that
Mm,
raises some doubt in my mind. So there's a little bit of politicking involved. I mean, he's previously said um, that Bangladeshi immigrants need to be removed. Shabana Mahmood's talking about reducing visas for Pakistani immigrants and reducing the length of indefinite leave to remain. Keir Starmer's called this an island of strangers. So his previous track record isn't one to be very proud of. Had he had this consistent track record and done this argument, I would have given him a lot more credit. I think he is being an opportunist. That said, I'm glad he's saying the right things.
Um, you mentioned Sadiq Khan, obviously, who took part in this event. He's the mayor of London. He's often the target of attacks from the populist anti-Muslim right. We've seen that time and time again. Donald Trump has targeted him. Several figures on the right. You spoke about the characterization of London as Londonistan, which isn't, doesn't exactly fall off the tongue, apart from being inaccurate. Do you think enough is being done to protect the mayor? I mean, you talked about putting all of this, putting a target on his back. He's one of the most high-profile Muslim figures in this country. Do you worry about Sadiq Khan's safety?
I think Sadiq Khan, I think a lot of high profile Muslims in this country are at threat, especially those of us in a political sphere. Um, I do worry about not just Sadiq Khan, but most of the prominent Muslims in politics right now. Afsana Begum is another one who often gets it. Um,
Mm.
and she gets it from both angles because she's Muslim and because she's a woman. So she gets the misogyny as well as Islamophobia. Um, so we've got to really be responsible with our politicians have got to be responsible with the language that they use and make sure that yes, criticize ideas and where they're creating an environment of incitement, they've got to really dial back the tone.
Um, it seems that much of the British right has been rallying behind the sentiment here. It was only last year, actually, when speaking about Birmingham, that the now Reform MP, who was then a Conservative MP, Robert Jenrick, said, in fact, in the hour and a half I was filming news there, I didn't see another white face. He said that while he had been in Birmingham. That's not the kind of country I want to live in. At the time, Kemi Badenoch did not kick Robert Jenrick out of the party for these comments when many thought she should have. Are you worried about the pace at which Islamophobia is growing and growing amongst the right and how normalized it actually seems to be in our politics now?
I think the level that racism has become so normalized, it's worse than when I was a kid right now. I grew up at a time when Paki bashing was a thing. We'd gone through that sort of thing. We'd lived through it. We had to fight to get into school. We had people and gangs chasing us down the street, and this is a fear that I've got for my kids. It's a fear that I've got for the kids that are growing up in Gipton and Harehills in Leeds and across the country. I think what politicians like Kemi Badenoch should have done was taken a real stance when Robert Jenrick made these comments a year ago and kicked him out of the Conservative Party. She should be kicking Nick Timothy out. She should be standing up and making sure that she creates a Conservative Party that's built on unity, have conservative values, strive for market economy and strive for a free market or whatever you want to do, but leave the racism and try and build a country that's cohesive.
Hmm. Last week, the government published its long-awaited social cohesion strategy, in which included a definition of anti-Muslim hatred, but it also identified Islamism, and that phrase again, Islamists, as a predominant threat to civil society and outlined a plan to crack down on extremism. I want to know what your reaction was to the strategy. The government got quite a bit of criticism from the right for wanting to appoint a representative on anti-Muslim hostility, including a definition of anti-Muslim hatred. But at the same time, as you say, they have leaned into that particular phrasing around Islamism and Islamists. What do you think about the strategy?
I think the definition itself is lacking, and I'm quite disappointed by it. There's been an all-party parliamentary group definition of Islamophobia now for many years. There's been the Runnymede Trust definition of Islamophobia for many years, and these have been widely adopted by Muslim organizations throughout the country. And it's a definition that most people accept, most Muslims accept, and it's something that is practical. I think this has been an attempt to water down that definition and transform it from Islamophobia to anti-Muslim hate. So now what their argument is to say it's hate against the person. So if I'm attacked because I'm Muslim, that's anti-Muslim hate. But if I'm denied places to worship, or if I'm denied opportunities because of my faith, that wouldn't be anti-Muslim hate, but that would be covered by Islamophobia,
Mm.
and that's the distinction that they're trying to make and take out that level of protection for Muslims. Um, we are visible. We do have practices that can be quite visible and quite and take up a space. And we need to. We are part and parcel of this country, and that needs to be accommodated for, just like any other person. Any other requirement for any other person, regardless of background, regardless of faith, regardless of anything uh, that they have. We've got to make sure that we build a cohesive society that caters for everyone.
Mm. Obviously, your party have been celebrating their fairly recent win now in Gorton and Denton, where obviously Hannah Spencer won the constituency, particularly keeping out Reform candidate Matt Goodwin, who took the loss on his shoulders, blaming it on family voting. There were quite a lot of accusations about this in the immediate aftermath, which have died down very, very quickly. I wonder what you made of the response from Reform and Goodwin about this issue of family voting. Do you think Reform is blaming non-white people for losing an election?
Yeah, I put out a tweet straight after that victory, or sort of seeing Matt Goodwin's reaction, and I said he should change his name to Matt Badloss, and surprisingly that caught on, and it became quite a trendy thing that everyone was using. So I do think he should change his name to Matt Badloss, because his reaction, it's worse than John Ashworth, the way he behaved after losing him, after
Mm,
losing his election seat. For some reason, these middle class, middle class men, white men in suits, think they're entitled to something. And when they lose, they look for all kinds of excuses to try and justify why they lost. The real reason was his campaign wasn't good enough. His campaign wasn't inclusive enough for the area. Whenever a politician loses, what you should be doing is to looking at the election and say, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do that wasn't appealing to everyone here? Because this is democracy. If we want people's votes, and I speak as a politician, if I want someone's votes, then I've got to make sure that I earn their votes. I can't just take them for granted. I lost twice before I got elected as a councillor. I didn't say, oh, they should have voted for me or they shouldn't have voted for the other person. It's my immediate reaction was, okay, right, I didn't campaign this way. I should have got to this person. I should have got my messaging out in this way. Um, and that's the reaction that's how you grow and that's how you develop. What Reform are doing, what some of the right wing are doing is just absolutely pathetic. They've lost an election because their message wasn't good, their offering wasn't good enough. The people rejected it. It's not because of ethnic minorities, it's not because of Muslims, it's not because of black and brown people, it's not because of white people, it's not none of that. You Reform just weren't good enough.
mm.
And that's
And
the message.
Mothin, finally, before we go, obviously you'll be buzzing from your win in Gorton and Denton. How is the future looking for the Green Party? What other constituencies have you got your eye on, or what does success look like in the next few years for you guys?
See, I'm not going to tell you where we've got our eye on because that'll give away some of the strategies. But it's looking very positive. It's looking very exciting. I'm having some very interesting conversations with people. So is Zach, and we're just growing strength to strength. We've passed, I think the last count was 219,000 members. But that number could be very well out of date. The speed at which we're attracting new people. So every day we're just generating more and more support, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to offer a politics of hope. We've got to get past all this sort of negativity and say, right, what do we want to do to make people's lives better? How do we change people's lives for the better? And if we can do that, I think we can transform this country and bring it back to how it used to be, so a nice, cohesive society.
Mm. Mothin, thank you so much for joining me today. That was Deputy Leader of the Green Party, Mothin Ali.